The cold winds of Krell Prime howled across a landscape of broken rocks and toxic dust. Princess Hannah lay crumpled like a discarded piece of cloth, her once brilliant royal robes now torn and stained with dark green blood. Her breath came in shallow, ragged gasps that barely disturbed the ash-gray ground beneath her. Hours earlier, the Royal Council had made their decision. She was no longer welcome. No longer considered valuable. Her genetic anomaly, a rare mutation that made her different from other Krelnari royals, had sealed her fate. The elders whispered about her being a genetic weakness, a potential threat to the pure bloodline that had ruled their civilization for thousands of cycles. They had transported her to this remote wasteland, far from any settlement, and simply left her to die. No ceremony. No dignity. Just abandonment. Her body was failing. The multiple wounds from the brutal removal process were infected. Toxic particles from the planet's harsh environment were seeping into her open cuts. Each breath was a struggle, each moment a battle against inevitable death. Hannah remembered the council chamber. The cold eyes of her own family members. The absolute silence when they declared her exile. She had been born different, her skin a shade lighter, her neural connections more complex, her ability to process information faster than any traditional Krelnari royal. In their rigid, traditional society, such differences were not celebrated. They were feared. The planet's twin suns began to set, casting long shadows across the desolate terrain. Toxic mists started to rise from the ground, creating an eerie, glowing landscape that seemed more like a nightmare than a real environment. Any normal creature would have died within minutes of exposure. But Hannah was not entirely normal. Her unique genetic structure gave her a slight resistance to the planetary toxins. Not enough to save her completely, but enough to prolong her suffering. Her mind drifted between consciousness and darkness. Memories flickered like broken holographic images. The grand halls of her royal residence. The strict training she endured. The constant pressure to be perfect. And then, the moment of her discovery, the genetic scan that revealed her anomalies. The council's decision had been swift and ruthless. Exile meant certain death for any Krelnari. It was their ultimate punishment, reserved for those considered irredeemable. As the night approached, the temperature dropped rapidly. Frost began to form on her skin, creating intricate patterns that seemed almost beautiful against her pale green complexion. Her breaths became even more labored, each one potentially her last. In the distance, nothing moved. No rescue. No hope. Just endless rocky terrain and toxic atmospheric conditions that would kill most living beings within moments of exposure. Hannah closed her eyes, accepting her fate. She had been trained never to show weakness, never to beg for mercy. Even in her final moments, she would maintain the dignity of her royal lineage. Her body was shutting down, systems failing one by one. The mutation that had caused her exile, a genetic variation that made her brain process information differently, now seemed like a cruel joke. All that potential, all that unique capability, would die here in this forgotten wasteland. Hours passed. The toxic mists grew thicker. Any normal life form would have long since perished. But Hannah's unique genetic structure continued to fight, continued to resist the inevitable. As the second sun disappeared below the horizon, casting the landscape in complete darkness, her chances of survival had become virtually non-existent. She was truly alone. Abandoned. Forgotten. Little did she know that light years away, a human medical ship was conducting routine planetary scans. And by the most extraordinary coincidence, its advanced sensors had just picked up her faint life signature. Her story was far from over. Her real journey was about to begin. Dr. J. Park leaned back in his chair, watching the planetary scan data scroll across multiple holographic screens. The humanitarian medical mission had been routine for months, mapping potentially habitable zones, checking for signs of life, collecting environmental data. But something unusual caught his eye. A faint biological signature flickered on the bottom right of his scanner. Most pilots would have ignored it. Most would have continued their predetermined route. But Jay was different. Something about that tiny signal made him pause. "Computer, enhance Sector 7 Delta," he commanded. The holographic display zoomed, revealing a microscopic heat signature amid the toxic landscape of Krell Prime. It was weak. Almost non-existent. But it was definitely alive. Jay's training told him to maintain course. Protocol suggested avoiding unknown alien territories. The diplomatic risks were significant. One wrong move could trigger interstellar incidents. Yet, something inside him, a mixture of medical curiosity and human compassion, pushed him to investigate. He maneuvered the medical shuttle carefully, using advanced scanning technology to analyze the environment. Toxic atmosphere. Extreme temperature variations. Radiation levels that would kill most known life forms. Whatever was down there should not be alive. As the shuttle descended, the landscape revealed itself a nightmare of rocky terrain, poisonous mists, and absolute desolation. No rational being would survive here. No rescue mission would ever consider searching this area. The medical sensors began providing more detailed information. The life form was organic. Definitely not native to this planet's ecosystem. Possibly intelligent. Definitely wounded. Jay's hands moved across the control panel, preparing emergency medical protocols. His suit would protect him from environmental hazards. Years of training in extreme planetary conditions had prepared him for scenarios most would consider impossible. Landing would be tricky. The terrain was unstable, with hidden rock formations and potential radiation pockets. One wrong move could destroy the shuttle and whatever life form existed below. Slowly, carefully, he guided the craft towards the faint biological signal. The shuttle's landing gear extended, stabilizing systems engaging automatically. External sensors began scanning the immediate surroundings. And there she was. Princess Hannah looked almost like a discarded statue. Her body was barely recognizable as a living creature. Wounds covered her skin. Toxic particles had begun integrating with her cellular structure. Any other species would have died hours ago. Jay's medical training kicked in immediately. He recognized the signs of systematic abandonment. This wasn't an accident. This was deliberate disposal of a living being. Activating his protective suit, he opened the shuttle's external hatch. The toxic atmosphere rushed in, but his advanced filtration systems kept him safe. Step by careful step, he approached the fallen princess. Her breathing was so shallow it was almost imperceptible. Traditional medical scanners would have missed her vital signs. But Jay's advanced humanitarian mission equipment was different. He knelt beside her, running a quick biological assessment. The readings were shocking. Her genetic structure was unlike anything he had ever encountered. Complex. Adaptive. Resilient. "Hold on," he whispered, though he wasn't sure she could hear him. Activating emergency medical protocols, he prepared to transport her to the shuttle's medical bay. Every second counted. Her chances of survival were minimal. But Jay had made a career out of impossible medical rescues. As he carefully lifted her fragile body, he noticed something extraordinary. Despite her critical condition, her eyes, when they briefly flickered open, held an intelligence that was both terrifying and beautiful. In that moment, Dr. J. Park knew his life would never be the same. The simple humanitarian mission had just become something far more complex. A rescue that would change everything was about to begin. The medical bay hummed with soft electronic sounds. Princess Hannah's body was connected to multiple monitoring systems, her vital signs dancing across translucent screens. Dr. J. Park watched carefully, his hands moving across advanced medical interfaces. Her alien physiology was complex. Human medical technology worked slowly, struggling to understand her unique genetic structure. Every time the nanite treatments attempted to heal her wounds, her body would react differently. It was like watching a sophisticated biological dance. Hannah's consciousness flickered between deep unconsciousness and brief moments of awareness. During these rare moments, her golden eyes would scan the medical bay, showing a mixture of confusion and suspicion. Jay noticed something unusual.
Her genetic makeup wasn't just different, it was extraordinary.
Complex neural pathways suggested advanced cognitive abilities far beyond typical biological expectations. Whatever genetic anomaly her people had feared was actually an incredible evolutionary adaptation. On the third day of her treatment, Hannah finally spoke. Her language was unknown, but the medical translation systems quickly processed her words. "Why did you save me?" she asked, her voice a soft, raspy whisper.
Jay smiled. "Because letting someone die goes against everything I believe in."
Her response was unexpected. Instead of gratitude, she showed pure calculation.
"My people will consider your intervention a potential threat. Rescue means involvement."
Slowly, through careful communication, Hannah revealed fragments of her story.
The Krelnari royal system was brutal and rigid. Her genetic variation, enhanced neural processing, advanced adaptive capabilities, was seen as a dangerous mutation.
The Royal Council hadn't just exiled her. They had attempted to eliminate a potential evolutionary leap in their species.
Jay's medical scans confirmed her story. Her genetic structure represented something extraordinary, a potential next stage of intelligent biological development. Her brain could process complex information thousands of times faster than human or Krelnari standard models.
"They feared me," Hannah explained.
"Different means dangerous in our society."
As her strength returned, Jay discovered more. Her knowledge base was vast. She understood complex scientific principles, interstellar politics, and advanced technological concepts that would take human researchers decades to comprehend. The medical bay became an unlikely classroom. Hannah shared insights about her civilization, and Jay listened, recording every detail. Her stories revealed a society trapped in traditional thinking, afraid of evolutionary progress.
Her genetic anomaly was actually a remarkable adaptation. Enhanced neural networks, accelerated healing capabilities, complex immune responses that could potentially revolutionize medical understanding across multiple species.
But survival remained the immediate challenge.
Her body was healing, but the psychological trauma of abandonment ran deep. Trust did not come easily to her. Jay understood he was dealing with more than a patient. He was witnessing a potentially revolutionary biological phenomenon.
Every medical scan, every interaction revealed layers of complexity that challenged existing scientific understanding. "My existence threatens their power structure," Hannah said one evening, her voice steady.
They couldn't allow a different perspective to challenge their traditional leadership. As days passed, a strange partnership formed. Jay wasn't just a medical professional anymore.
He had become her protector, her translator, her bridge to understanding. The medical systems continued their careful work.
Nanites moved through her body, repairing damage, understanding her unique biological language. Each hour brought new discoveries. What started as a simple rescue mission was transforming into something far more significant. A potential key to understanding evolutionary potential. A challenge to established biological and social paradigms.
Hannah looked at Jay, her golden eyes now clear and focused.
"What happens next?" she asked. Jay smiled. "We survive. We learn. And we prepare."
The medical bay continued its soft electronic symphony, recording the beginning of an extraordinary journey. The small communication room aboard Jay's medical shuttle became their strategic center.
Multiple holographic screens displayed intricate networks of Krelnari political connections.
Hannah's genetic memory and Jay's systematic approach created an unexpected intelligence-gathering system. "They will not expect a counterattack," Hannah explained, her fingers moving across digital interfaces with remarkable speed. Her neural pathways processed information far faster than traditional communication methods. Their first ally came unexpectedly, a low-ranking Krelnari communication officer named Kai, who had access to classified royal communication channels.
Through carefully encrypted transmissions, they began mapping the political conspiracy that led to Hannah's exile.
The evidence was shocking. The Royal Council had been systematically eliminating individuals with advanced genetic variations.
Hannah was not an isolated case.
She was part of a larger pattern of genetic suppression designed to maintain absolute control.
Jay's humanitarian mission databases provided additional resources.
Cross-referencing planetary records, diplomatic communications, and medical archives revealed a complex web of manipulation that stretched across multiple star systems. "They fear evolution," Hannah said quietly.
"Change threatens their power structure."
Their resistance strategy was subtle.
Instead of direct confrontation, they chose strategic information distribution.
Small, carefully crafted data packets would be released through multiple anonymous channels, gradually exposing the Royal Council's crimes. Kai became their primary communication asset.
His low-ranking position meant he was considered insignificant, perfect for covert information transfer.
Each transmission was a carefully designed puzzle piece that would eventually reveal the complete picture.
Hannah's unique genetic structure allowed her to create unbreakable communication algorithms. Traditional encryption seemed primitive compared to her biological computational abilities.
What would take human systems months to process, she could complete in minutes. Their first major breakthrough came when they discovered documentation proving systematic genetic manipulation within the royal bloodlines. The very system that claimed genetic purity was built on extensive scientific fraud. "Information is our weapon," Jay told her.
"Not violence."
They built a network of potential allies, scientists, low-ranking officials, and individuals who had been marginalized by the current system. Each connection was carefully vetted, each communication encrypted beyond current technological capabilities.
The medical shuttle became a mobile headquarters. Advanced stealth technology kept them virtually undetectable.
Their movement was strategic, always one step ahead of potential royal tracking systems.
Hannah's knowledge of Krelnari internal systems combined with Jay's systematic approach created a formidable intelligence operation.
They weren't just surviving, they were preparing to fundamentally challenge an entire civilization's power structure.
Weeks turned into months. Their network grew. Small resistance cells began forming across different planetary systems.
Information leaked strategically, creating doubt and questioning among the royal population.
"We are not destroying," Hannah explained to Jay during one strategic planning session. "We are creating space for evolution."
Their approach was patient. Each information release was calculated to create maximum intellectual impact with minimal direct confrontation. They were playing a long-term strategic game, challenging an entire societal framework through intelligent information warfare.
The Royal Council began showing signs of internal stress. Communication patterns changed. Emergency meetings were called.
Their carefully maintained facade of control was slowly crumbling. Jay realized they were doing more than resisting. They were offering an alternative, a vision of societal development based on embracing difference rather than suppressing it. "We give them a choice," Hannah said one evening, her golden eyes reflecting the holographic screens.
"Evolution or extinction." Their resistance was intelligent, measured, and fundamentally transformative. No weapons. No direct violence. Just pure, strategic information distribution that challenged every existing power structure.
The medical shuttle continued its journey through star systems, a mobile headquarters of quiet, systematic revolution. Hannah and Jay, an unlikely pair united by circumstance and a shared vision of progressive change. Their real battle was just beginning. The final confrontation happened not with weapons, but with information. Hannah stood before the Royal Council's central communication chamber, her presence both fragile and powerful.
Jay watched from a secure remote location, monitoring every transmission. Holographic screens flickered to life. Representatives from every Krelnari planetary system watched in stunned silence.
Years of carefully collected evidence began to unfold, a systematic expose of genetic manipulation, political corruption, and deliberate suppression of evolutionary potential.
Hannah's presentation was clinical, precise. Each statement backed by irrefutable documentation.
She revealed how the Royal Council had been blocking natural genetic progression, eliminating individuals with advanced neural capabilities to maintain their rigid power structure. The evidence was overwhelming.
Communication records. Medical archives. Secret diplomatic transmissions.
Every layer of the royal system's carefully constructed narrative began to crumble.
"I am not a threat," she stated clearly. "I am evolution." Her genetic uniqueness, once considered a weakness, was now presented as the species' greatest potential.
The neural pathways that made her different were actually a breakthrough in cognitive development. Kai, the communication officer who had become their key ally, ensured the transmission reached every possible channel. No communication array would be left uncovered. The Royal Council's response was predictable.
Initial denial. Then confusion.
Then growing panic as more information continued to stream across planetary networks. Jay watched the progression with scientific precision. What had started as a simple medical rescue had transformed into a civilization-changing moment. Political structures began to shift. Lower-ranking officials, long suppressed by the rigid royal system, started asking questions. The carefully maintained facade of genetic purity was dissolving in real time.
Hannah's genetic scans were broadcast across multiple systems.
Scientists who had been silenced for years now had concrete evidence of evolutionary potential.
Her body became living proof of biological possibility. "We are offering a choice," she explained. "Adapt or become obsolete."
The transformation was not violent.
It was intellectual.
A peaceful revolution driven by pure information and biological potential. Within weeks, the Royal Council's power structure collapsed.
Not through external intervention, but through internal realization.
Their own people began demanding change, demanding understanding.
Hannah was not seeking revenge.
She was offering a path forward.
Her genetic variation was presented as a potential solution, not a threat.
A way for the species to grow, to develop, to embrace complexity.
Jay's role became that of a scientific translator.
His medical background provided critical context to her biological breakthrough. Together, they presented a vision of collaborative evolution.
The first new governmental structure emerged organically. Representatives were chosen based on cognitive potential, not traditional bloodlines. Scientific capability became the new measure of leadership. Planetary communications began changing. Educational systems were redesigned. The entire civilization started a process of radical reimagining. Hannah's exile became a symbol of transformation.
The moment a discarded princess became the catalyst for fundamental societal change.
"We are not destroying the old," she would explain in subsequent communications. "We are creating space for something new."
Jay watched with a mixture of scientific fascination and human compassion. What had begun as a simple medical rescue had become a civilization-wide transformation. The medical shuttle that had once been their mobile headquarters now became a symbol of collaborative potential. A testament to what could happen when compassion meets intelligence. Their story spread across multiple star systems. Not as a tale of conflict, but as an example of peaceful evolutionary progress. Hannah looked at Jay, her golden eyes reflecting the holographic displays showing planetary changes.
"We did it," she said simply. And in that moment, everything was possible.
The universe watched and waited, witnessing the birth of a new understanding.